you guys so much for 100 subscribers, by the way. Seriously, I mean, for you guys to choose to come watch my videos and to want to, just come watch what I have to say, it's incredible. So I appreciate it very much. I'm only looking to improve, right? I'm only looking to improve. We're going to keep this momentum up, you guys. I love every single one of you. So I seriously do appreciate for choosing me to watch. I really do. What is going on, you guys? I am your host, Aiden. My co-host is not with me today, but this is Between the Hashes, where we just talk football. It's going to be a relaxed environment. If you're watching on your computer, just get ready for something good. If you're watching on your TV, just, chill out, get something to drink. This will be something fun, hopefully. If you guys like what you see, like some of my takes, subscribe. Obviously, it's too early to ask for that. We haven't even done anything yet, but, we're just going to chill, talk about some things that I thought of here on my paper, and we're just going to get into it. I think some of the stuff we're going to go over today kind of fluctuates on what we're going to be talking about. I think something we're going to start it off with is something Patriots. I think it's only right to start it with something Patriots. Being a Patriots fan, is it reasonable or fantasy to expect the Patriots to be good again? Now, I know this is a very hot topic due to the schedule and all of that, but I think there's it's going to be so hard to predict what New England is going to be next year. They played maybe one of the easiest schedules. I guess we could throw that into the argument, whatever. And now they play the sixth hardest schedule in 2026. They have 20 of their 22 starters locked down. They have the most picks in the draft with 11. I think the biggest it factor to me is can Drake build off of his second year, his MVP campaign? Can Drake taking yet another step up and really put the team on his back this time? Obviously, there's things that the Patriots have to address with offensive line, receivers, corners, safeties, linebacking depth. I would love New England to go get some of those things. But I think altogether, relatively, I would expect the Patriots to be picking up right where they left off last year, in my opinion. I think that like I said, the main thing for me is going to be Drake, right? The quarterback runs the show. The quarterback runs the team. So if Drake can just even be a sliver of what he was this year, I think the Patriots will be fine. I think with Mike Vrabel here now, I think things are going to be a lot different now. I think he's going to set that standard, that winning standard. He's going to, ensue that culture back into New England. So I believe it's not fantasy, and I think it is reasonable to hold these guys to a high standard yet again, which is something we really haven't had since the Brady era, since he left. So I don't think it's fantasy to, expect them to be good, and I would not be shocked if they were another contending team again next year. I know a lot of people are going to have a lot to say on that in terms of, contending for a title. But in my rightful opinion, I think that New England can only go up from here, right? Unless they go down, obviously, which which is obvious. But I'm saying, like, expectation-wise, I believe the winning culture is back, is basically my point. I think New England is going to start to get the train moving again, and I think they're only going to get better through the draft, only going to get better through free agency, and it's going to be hard to regress from what you did this year. I know there's still teams like the Bills, who we do play twice a year, who are still always going to be a threat, obviously. So that's going to be a pretty fun rivalry. Josh and Drake and Josh. That'll be fun to see. I like what could come of that. I think, just overall, what can these guys do? Christian Gonzalez, give that man so much money. I don't even care. He deserves it. That dude played his heart out in the Super Bowl. Probably the best player on the field for New England at all times. I don't care. He played very, very good. I think that whatever he's asking this offseason for the extension, you got to give the man. That dude played his heart out for you. He laid it all on the line for you. He showed that he's the franchise corner, and you got to pay people like that. You got to pay people that want to be here, and he said he's want to be here his whole career, so I believe him. But, I mean, how many times have we heard the I want to be here my whole career argument, right? So, or how many times have we heard that being said? So we'll see where that goes. Saquon said it. Odell has said it. I mean, I'm just bringing up Giants players because those are like the most recent people I can maybe think of. But people say that all the time. It's more about action to me. So I hope he remains a Patriot his whole career, obviously. But we'll see what happens with that. And in terms of corner, I think we just need to get, not necessarily more talent-wise, but I think we need to get bigger at corner. I love Marcus and Carlton. I keep bringing this up every time I talk about New England, but it's a valid point. Marcus Jones is an awesome slot guy, but he cannot play boundary. Carlton Davis, I do not believe can play boundary. So I think we need somebody in the draft that can be another game changer for Gonzo on the other side to help. But we'll see what happens. I just think that it's not fantasy to hold New England to these high standards again. It's going to be different, I guess, in a sense, because of, New England's not used to being held to this standard anymore. So it'll definitely be different, but I don't think it's out of the realm of reality with this team. I think everything they've done I liked for the most part. There are some moves that I kind of questioned. Like I said, overall, the front office has done what Vrabel's done, especially. He's a player's coach, right? So whatever they do, I'm behind it, right? I gotta be. It's my team. I love New England, so they're just. I think they only go up from here. It'll be interesting. It'll be a good season, I believe, especially with better competition. And I think if they go out and prove, what they can do and be good again, let's rest the schedule argument, please. For the love of God, I'm so tired of hearing about that. If New England goes out and is good again, please, can we put the schedule thing to rest? Like, if they go out next year and they are another playoff team and they win another playoff game, it's time to put that argument to bed. It's even stupid now to put that against them, but at least this year I can understand where people are coming from with it. So it'll be a good prove it or shut up year, you know. Which kind of brings us to this next topic is, can you win a Super Bowl when your quarterback is on a mega deal? You got to think of the guys like Mahomes, who's, while he's on a big deal, his salary cap isn't like necessarily big. So that's kind of different boat, but like Burrow, Dak, I think when you're paying all your money into one guy, and in the case of the Bengals, you're paying a lot of money for three guys, really. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow. It's hard to allocate those funds to build a team up. And people always are always like, oh, well, this player, why does he have no talent around him? And then you go and look, and it's like, Dak Prescott, well, Dak doesn't have the talent around him because he's eating up like 25-30% of your cap space. I don't like the fact that QB, and I understand it, right? There's no loyalty in the business of the NFL. There's no loyalty there. So I understand it. They're trying to ensure their future. But I just don't like it when quarterbacks demand the high money for the market value and the teams give it to them, because then you're stuck with that guy, which is, obviously if you're paying him that much money, you have your guy. That's not the point. But the point is, you can't put the pieces around your guy. You're always going to at least be, at best, a little over average, in my opinion. I don't think the era of quarterbacks on mega deals is smart, because you got to be able to help your guy. This is where we get to the guys where, like, people are always like, well, Justin Herbert has no help, or, Joe Burrow has no offensive line help. Well, you can't help a guy who's eating up 30% of your cap space. One guy eating up that much cap space is never a good recipe in any sport, in my opinion. Like, this is a team sport, and you have 30%, or even in some cases more than 30% of your cap going to one player, and it doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, I play devil's advocate here. I know why they're doing it. It's a business. At the end of the day, you could be traded just like that. So I understand it. I just don't think it's fair to complain when these players then don't get talent around them when they can't, because look at the Chiefs. They're at the end of their dynasty, I believe, and we'll talk about them later in the episode, but they're in the end of their dynasty. Chris Jones doesn't have much time left. Travis Kelce doesn't have much time left. Andy Reid doesn't, he's not going to coach forever. And you have Mahomes eating up a lot of salary, right? So, and then I'm sure with Mahomes, he's going to, be opening to like restructuring, and obviously, but like, you got to start putting the talent back around Mahomes, right? For when he first came in, he had the guys around him. He had Kelce, Hill. He had a good defense. Chris Jones was younger. So it's time now to reset and build stuff around Mahomes again. And the Chiefs are going to be kind of hogtied when it comes to it, because of all the money going to Mahomes. And all of these guys are obviously, they're what's the word? They're very, what's the word? they're very deserving of it, is what I wanted to say. Is they obviously all deserve it. So it's also not fair to say they shouldn't get the money. It's just it's gonna put a lot of pressure on your team and a lot of pressure on your coach to go win a championship when they don't have the pieces to work with, you know. And that's just my take on it. I don't get the hoarding all the money kind of deal. You know, it's about winning championships with your guys. It's a team sport, and how are you going to be a team sport when you are the one taking up most of the cap? Is essentially what I'm getting at. So we'll see what happens. You know, I'm not saying any of these guys aren't capable of winning Super Bowls. In Mahomes' case, like dude has won 3 Super Bowls, so it's just gonna be tough later on down the road when the salary cap hit only gets bigger and bigger, and the QB market keeps getting bigger and bigger. At one point, do the owners finally go, okay, we cannot keep paying these quarterbacks this much money. We're going to have no room to do anything here. You know, I mean, I think the highest paid quarterback right now is Dak at like 60 mil a year right now, I want to say. So, like, at what point do the owners finally put a cap on what they're going to pay, you know? So that'll be interesting to see in you know, the next decade or so, half decade or so. We'll see where that all goes. And talking about Mahomes, it kind of segues right into another thing I wanted to get at. Is Mahomes the only true elite quarterback in the NFL? And what I mean by that is obviously Lamar's great, Josh is great, Herbert is great, Hurts is great. All these guys are amazing. But are they truly elite like Mahomes is, who has the 3 Super Bowls, who has the MVPs, who has, you know, all these accolades for him already, and is already making a case for top 5 all time? Because it's a very interesting topic, because while, you know, obviously there's very good elite quarterbacks, are they truly elite like Mahomes is? You know, I kind of think about it like, okay, when you eat something, right, and you don't feel full from it, it's kind of empty calories, right? Like you wanted to eat it, and you were expecting to get full from it, and you ate it, and you're kind of like, wow, that didn't do anything to me. That's how I view these quarterbacks. Is while they're all good, like Allen has his MVP, Lamar has his 2 MVPs, Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls, he's won a Super Bowl, so I guess his case is a little bit better than these other guys, in my opinion. Herbert's been to the playoffs multiple times, you know, he's got all these regular season stats, and he's been top 5 every year. Those are kind of empty calorie stats, you know? Like when at one point is the playoff success gonna marry the regular season success for these guys? You know, who's going to be that guy to take down the big bad Mahomes, essentially? So I I seen this somewhere just scrolling on YouTube, and it was pretty intriguing. It was intriguing enough to put it in my script, because it made me think, like, he's kind of got a point, you know? Like, is Mahomes the only true elite quarterback? I mean, he's the only true elite winner as of right now. He's the only true elite, like the dude has a dynasty, right? So I think it's an interesting take. Yeah, I just kind of get back to empty calories thing, because these guys have been good in the regular season, and you know they got MVPs, they got leading the league in passing yards, leading the league in touchdowns, but they don't really have the playoff success. I mean, I guess Allen and Jackson has been to AFC Championship games. Hurts has been to multiple Super Bowls, but Hurts kind of hasn't had the consistency of the winning, I guess. Like, lost to a 49ers team this year. Like, I just think that Mahomes is kind of the only true winner in this league right now. We haven't really had a good dominant team. Mahomes has kind of ran the NFL in general, I think. So it's just, it's a good point. I think maybe he is the only true elite quarterback in the NFL. And I'm not saying anything from, like, they're all elite. Like, let's get that right. Like they're all elite. I'm not saying they're not elite. I'm just saying I think Mahomes is maybe even a tier above elite from them because of the success that he's had. So yeah, that was just interesting. I wanted to bring that up. I don't remember where I seen it. I think it was like some NFL player that brought it up during the Super Bowl or something. Somebody brought it up, and I was like, I was watching, and I was like, man, that's kind of like an interesting take on it, because, like, in a sense, it's true, right? It's true. It's kind of just the Mahomes show in the NFL right now. Like, yes, obviously we've had winners outside the Chiefs, like the Rams and the Seahawks, but there's not been a consistent line with anybody as there has been with Mahomes. So I really like that. I don't remember where I seen it, or else I'd credit it. I wish I knew, but it was pretty damn interesting. I liked that angle. I've never thought about it like that before. I've never even thought about, like, it's always just been Mahomes at one, but I mean he's even a tier above one. It's insane. Something else I wanted to get into is the most interesting team for 2026. Now, what I mean by most interesting, I mean, what is a team that is truly, we have no idea what they could do this year, right? Like, you look at them and you're like, man, they could either be very good or they're going to be very bad. So, I thought of a couple teams. I thought of teams like Arizona, but I think they've just been consistently bad too many years to put them on a list like this, because no, I don't know the last time people were like, yeah, Arizona's going to be good this year. So I excluded them from the list. I was very, very close to putting the Panthers because they're a huge wild card team in terms of what are they going to do in 2026. But I think they're still on the rise. So I wanted like a true elite team that like genuinely people have no idea what they're going to be. And it put me down to two teams. And the team I ended up settling on was the Ravens. Reasoning behind the Ravens is they bring in a new coach, Jesse Minter, to be their head coach. They lose Todd Monken, the OC. They bring in a new OC, Declan Doyle, who was the former Bears offensive coordinator. He spent time with the Broncos and Saints as the tight end coach. Like, so you're not really, certain on how they're going to be. And I mean, I'm sure Jesse Minter is going to be calling the defense, right? I mean, Ravens fans, help me out here. So you don't really know. Like, that defense is still elite, is essentially what I'm trying to say. Like, that defense on paper, they got Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith. They got, Nate Wiggins, who could take a step up, Marlon Humphrey. Like, on paper, I think this defense is still super elite. It's just, can Jesse Minter go in there and maximize his potential? And then on the offensive side of the ball, how's Lamar Jackson going to look? First time having a new coach in his career, like head coach, that is. New OC coming in. We've seen what, happen with him with the first year of Todd Monken. He lit it up. That was the year they went to the AFC Championship game, and they had Mike McDonald as their DC, who just won the Super Bowl. So they're such a wild card team because they've been good for quite a while, since Lamar has been on the team. And it makes you think, like, are the Ravens gonna continue to be good, or are they gonna take a step back finally? And they're just so interesting because they have all these new moving pieces. They have all these new, people coming in. There's so much turnover in the coaching staff that, like, you've cleaned house almost, right? And I think that was the point of what the Ravens were trying to do, so they could finally get over that hump. And it'll be interesting to see. Now, I personally believe when you have Lamar, there's no way you could be too bad, right? I mean, let's look at how bad they were without Lamar, right? Especially, you think of last season when he was out them like first half of the year. I mean, they were still bad like with him, but they looked pretty damn atrocious without him, right? So I think with Lamar, I think that the floor is always going to be high, but what's the ceiling is what we're trying to figure out. Like, how far can this newly coached Ravens team really go? How far can they really go? We just seen a defensive coach win the Super Bowl. Who's to say another one can't come in and win the Super Bowl? And I think maybe that's what the reasoning was behind hiring Jesse Minter, is they realize the success that the Seahawks had in one year with their defensive guy. Maybe they're trying to get that for Lamar. It'd be amazing to see them just have a huge turnaround and finally get over the hump. But at the same time, like, there's so many unknowns with them that we can't really put like a prediction on it, without feeling uncertain. So it'll be something to watch throughout the year. I think that, the Ravens will be good. I think they'll be fine. But overall, I just think maybe there's some uncertainty there. So that's an interesting one to watch for sure. Had to get a drink there to wet my whistle. And finally, we're going to go with what team is due for a step back. It kind of goes hand in hand with what's the most interesting team. Well, what team is due for a step back? And I think there really is one true answer. It's the Chiefs. And the reason why I say it's the Chiefs is there's quite a bit, right? You're probably going to be losing Chris Jones here soon, and even if you don't, he's still older. He's like just overall wise, I think he's taken a step back either way. Travis Kelsey hasn't been the same in a couple years, even, right? So there's two players that are huge players that are declining in a sense. And then another reason is when your standard is so high, like the Chiefs is, with always being in Super Bowls and always being in AFC Championship games, you're obviously going to be due for a setback, no matter what. Because when you set the bar so damn high, it's hard to top yourself, right? I think of, you know, maybe a little out of context analogy here. I think of Eminem had the three best albums back to back to back in terms of like overall popularity wise, and then after that, it's so hard to climb that bar you set for yourself, right? And he never really topped those three albums throughout his career. So I think of the Chiefs and kind of the same thing. When you go to 5 Super Bowls in 6 years and you win three of them, and your guy's been in the AFC Championship game every year he's started and has been fully healthy, it's hard to stay at that level of consistency. There's only been one team with pure dominance for like decades, and that's the Patriots, right? And even then, even in the latter half of their dynasty, like you think of 51, 53, and 49 Super Bowls, they really weren't even still like especially Super Bowl 53. They were kind of just trotting in. So it's hard to maintain the success when your success level is Super Bowl appearances and Super Bowl wins and championships and all that. So that's probably the main one. And another one is I kind of touched on it was the roster turnover. Sustaining a dynasty is difficult under the salary cap. The key contributors on your team will eventually leave, no matter what, right? Because if you have all these guys who are key contributors to your team, they're all going to want money, which kind of goes hand in hand with the thing we just talked about of mega deals and salary caps and quarterbacks being on these mega contracts. Is you can't keep talent around your guy when you have all these awesome players and they all want to get paid too, but they can't, so they leave. So that's another huge one. That's why drafting is so important, because you got to rely on your younger, less proven players more so than your proven guys. So that's definitely a huge one. And then we kind of just talked about it, but the AFC competition is getting better and better every year, man. You got the Bills, you got probably the Patriots again. You have the Chargers, who will always be in contention one way or another, even if they, are barely scratching. And I think a Jim Harbaugh team is always going to be in contention. So you got the Texans, who are still hungry to try to get past the divisional. You got so many teams that are coming after the Chiefs and trying to, they play maybe a little extra harder when they see the Chiefs because they want to be the ones to take them down. Like the Titans, when they played New England in 2019. You don't think those guys were excited to send Tom Brady and the Patriots packing home and end that dynasty? You don't think Mike Vrabel wanted to do that against his former team? Like, these guys want to send the Chiefs packing home every year. They've been like the top dog. They want to take them down. I'm sure of it. And it kind of gets into my last point here is they have a target on their back. Every opponent is treating Kansas City like a statement win. All of the teams want to be the people that beat Kansas City. They want to be the people that took them down. Like the target on Kansas City's back is so big right now that everybody's going to be playing harder against them. It's going to be hard to just roll into a easy win game like maybe what they're used to, especially with all the talent they've been kind of losing and all the regressions they've been seeing. I mean, we've seen how bad that team looked without Mahomes. So it's only going to get harder. It's only going to be an uphill climb from here, I believe. So that's my team that I believe will take a step back for 26. I'm not saying they're going to be bad, because I don't think any Patrick Mahomes team will be bad, but I don't think they're going to be at the same level we're used to seeing them, which is reasonable, right? When you have that level of success for so long, you're bound to fall, right? You're bound to fall. So it'll be interesting to see. That's all I really got for you guys. I know this is like a super short kind of mini episode, but no co-host kind of makes it hard. I had to kind of script everything by myself here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, consider subscribing, like to have you on the channel. We just hit 100 subs. Until tomorrow, man, just, yeah, I don't really have an outro, but yeah.